Good morning to the gamers especially. Welcome to a interesting video. We're starting off in a new location here. I'm joined by two NPCs that I've never heard of before, a bunch of rats, and, well, this guy splashing. I'm coming to you from this new location because Jagex just released a brand new news post about that mid-level PvM boss that we talked about a couple videos previously. If you remember back from the Summer Summit, we talked about the potential of a new mid-level PvM boss. I read a little bit ahead. I didn't want to spoil too much, but I wanted to make sure there was enough to make a video over, and there is. So let's take a look at it together. Scurrius, the Rat King, the mid-level PvM boss. Hidden away in the dark, dank depths, just blaze it, we find our new mid-level boss. Oh, and they talk about those two NPCs that I have no idea who they are. I think they're part of rat catchers. Now, I don't think you'll need to have any quests completed. They say there's no requirements really except for a couple of combat prerequisites. During this year's Summer Summit, we mentioned that we'd soon introduce a mid-level PvM update to bridge the gap between mid-game and in-game content. Now, I want you to remember this, because they kind of throw me off with what they consider mid-game and end-game. Scurrius the Rat King is designed to introduce core PvM mechanics and help newer players get to grips with combat. So this is really designed for a new player. This rambunctious rodent and his pack will test your knowledge of overhead prayers and your dodging skills, and your ability to manage multiple monsters during a fight. All things you'll need to master if you plan to take on tougher bosses later in your adventuring career. And even the little illustration here, the concept art they give, is giving me a Cerberus feeling, right? It's quite literally a three-headed rat monster. So one head's probably going to be for ranged attacks, one head's probably going to be for magic attacks, and the other will, you guessed it, probably be for melee attacks. Now, they of course say this is early concept art, so they'll probably change them up a little bit. I would imagine maybe each head will have a different, perhaps, like color swap or color palette or some sort of differentiating feature to let you know which head is going to be for which. Oh, so no head? We recommend that players have at least 43 prayer to unlock Protect from Melee before venturing into Scurrius' lair. But there are no other requirements. Now, they don't even say you have to have that prayer level. It's just, of course, required so you can have all three of your prayer swaps. You can have Protect from Melee, Range, and Magic. So you might potentially be able to negate any and all damage depending on how good you are. This encounter is designed for combat levels 60 to 90. Is that mid-level 60 to 90? I mean, 60 sure. But is 90 still considered mid-game or mid-level combat? I mean, I would say so, right? Okay, just keep that in mind. Although it's more about mastering mechanics than relying on chunky stats. Players can choose to face Scurrius alone or group up with friends to take him down. So this is a great way to kind of introduce that feature as well. You just have to have friends first, which I don't! And then this sentence here kind of interests me. On that theme, we've made it super easy to gear back up and get back into the action. We don't want newer players to feel too frustrated while they're trying to learn. So I'm wondering if that means that maybe the death mechanic for like the player will be a little altered here. I don't know. I'm just curious as to what they mean by that. Like perhaps if you die, you kind of spawn in that same area, or maybe you don't even lose your gear. And then they say it one more time for the people in the back. To be absolutely clear, if you already have PvM experience, you're unlikely to find Scurrius to be much of a challenge. But that doesn't mean there's nothing for you. Oh, the guy splashing is gone. I must have ran him off. He thought I was going to report him for botting, but I wasn't. I'm just doing the news, man. Sorry. Given that Scurrius targets an extremely broad level range, again, really? 60 to 90? Is that extremely broad? That's only 30 levels difference. They say that's mid-game to end-game. But again, I just don't understand what exactly Jagex considers to be mid-level or end-game level. It's difficult to pinpoint a reward that's exciting for both level 60 beginners and level 90 veterans about to enter the end-game. Jagex, are you confused? Are you lost? Because you're losing me, brother. What do you mean? Level 60 is beginner? Level 90 is endgame? Where does the... What? I feel... Maybe I'm just bad at the game. And that's true. That is true. I'm bad at the game. But I feel like I'm still in the mid-game. And I don't know, I'm like level 106 or something like that. That's why we're trying something totally new and a bit scary, they say. The primary reward from the Rat King will be combat XP? What? Usually, players gain the bulk of their combat XP, except Prayer, passively while training Slayer, or at AFK spots. This is very true. You'll be able to track your gains during the fight, and you'll be rewarded for choosing more intensive combat methods. So that reminds me of what they said for like the Fortis Coliseum. If you remember, the Fortis Coliseum is basically going to be sort of like a wave-based progression minigame, where you can almost choose the intensity of the waves, and you can increase the rewards you earn based on the level of difficulty. So I'm wondering if that's sort of what they're going to mean here with this type of boss as well. As a ballpark, you can expect low-level players using Ratbone weaponry, while fighting Scurrius to receive significantly more XP than passive options like Nightmare Zone and Crabs. Higher level players, however, will likely to be better off training combat as they always have, with Slayer. Oh, Slayer. Oh, dude, it kills, dude. It freaking kills. It's like Steve-O. I don't know why I went Steve-O mode there. You're probably thinking, what the freaking heck is Ratbone weaponry? I'm right there with you, brother. What is that? Well, in short, Ratbone weaponry lets you double down on those XP rewards. These weapons can only be used against Scurrius, and won't work against any other NPCs. Defeat Scurrius, and you may obtain the uncommon, untradeable Rat Spine. Combine that with a Rune Mace, use Shortbow, or a Battle Staff, and 1,000 Chaos Runes to create the Ratbone Mace, Bow, or Staff. Now you'll need 35 smithing, fletching, or crafting to make all of those different types of weapons. That all sounds pretty crazy, but the fact that you can only use them against the boss, I mean, I understand it's the mechanics to help you learn to fight him. As long as I can wear them around, it sounds cool. I like the idea of bone. That's all I really care about. If I can only use it on this mid-level boss, or in-game boss, or beginner-level boss, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. The Ratbone Mace is a faster version of the Dragon Mace. That's pretty cool. Now again, you can only use these on this boss, so while they may seem a little bit overpowered, for the alternative, you can only use it on this boss here. The Ratbone Staff has a magic bonus equivalent to a Mystic Staff. Whoa! And its own built-in spell that requires 1 Chaos Rune? Dude, that's pretty crazy. This shakes out to significantly more XP per hour. So each Ratbone weapon requires 50 in either attack, ranged, or magic to wield. You can see their stats down here below. Upon creation, each Ratbone weapon gains 1,000 charges. Oh great, Jagex and their favorite thing in the whole entire world, charged weaponry. Can you believe there's more? Can you? And it can be recharged by using another Rat Spine to spruce them up. The Rat Spine is not especially rare. They say it's not especially rare, although it's not a guaranteed drop. The odds are in your favor, though, that you'll obtain a spare long before you run out of charges, which means you can hopefully continue to infinitely sustain them. We'll see, Jagex, we'll see. They do say that other drops on offer, though, will continue to ensure you still have a healthy handful of spending cash to potentially improve your gear. Scurrius will also drop Rat Spine Fragments, which would give you smaller charges for the weaponry. You do have the potential to find other, like, odd rune items, or, standard supply drops, magic, ranged, ammunition, things to help sustain that particular level range. And then one more time, they double down on this statement. Remember that Scurrius is aimed at mid-level players with 0 combat experience. So fight caves, that's not it. So if this guy's considered mid-level, I would say the fight caves is not considered in-game content. What is raids? What is Inferno? What is like Crystal Gauntlet? What are those things considered in-game? I'm not understanding exactly, I guess. With this in mind, we're especially interested to hear from you lower level players, or those of you who aren't yet comfortable with PvM. I hear you in the comments, BaldMob, this is you, bro. I went auto block on you again because that's how funny I think it is. So they're really, I feel like the Inferno is not in-game content. I feel like the Inferno would be mid-level content like this would be considered. So, that is pretty much all the little bit of information they gave us on Scurrius, so far at least. I'm sure they'll be drip feeding us some more information later on down the line, but I thought it was a pretty interesting start, especially because I kind of called it in my previous video about this type of boss. I'm excited, especially if it is actually aimed towards this type of player range. They did say that it was aimed towards, this mid-level player base, and if you're a high-end game type of player, you probably won't find much to get from this type of boss. If you remember from when Scurrius was first released, the player base that was like end-game considered level rushed that boss for so long that newer players or mid-level players that it was aimed towards couldn't even like get in to fight it because it was camped by these players that were, stacked out in full max gear that could just camp it for hours without having to, leave. So I'm wondering if that's going to be similar to the case like in the Rat King. So we'll see, I suppose. But ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much everything I had to say right here. I appreciate everyone watching the video. Thank you so much as always for all of the support, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying the videos. Leave me a comment if you want about what you think about the Rat King, if you're excited to try him out. If you are, I want to hear what your thoughts are. I'm not here just to talk, I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen. I'm always here with you. Just like God. He's always watching over you. I'm here with you along the way. So, tell me what you think about the Rat King. I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a subscription if you really enjoyed. If you do, I'll thank you in another way. That's weird. I'm not going to say that. I'm sorry. I got to go. I've been talking for way too long. Goodbye, everyone, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow for some more Leagues information? Maybe. Leagues is in less than a week, and I can't freaking wait. Goodbye.